Streaming live now on News8000.com. You're watching WKBT La Crosse. This is News 8 Now, This Morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Alexandra Carter.
And I'm Derek Sibley.
It is Thursday, November 9th, 2023. A bit of a chilly start, but the good news is it's not going to stay that cold today, right?
Right, exactly. It's going to be a little cool out there, but you know, not as. It's just the winds are really going to be the main concern today.
Very windy. So tie your hair back, maybe, if you're like me.
Yeah, exactly. And if you wear hats, hold on to your hats.
Hold on to your hats.
Because you don't want them blowing away. I know that can be a pain. But yeah, we won't have to worry about it this morning. It's really just the afternoon when those winds begin to pick up. Mostly clear skies right now across the area with current temperature readings into the 30s. So our temperatures definitely feeling the clear skies. Usually when we have those clear skies and light winds, it is usually a cold start for the morning, and that's exactly what's happening in Sparta, Black River Falls, Viroqua, near that freezing mark currently. So today's planner showing that we will be looking at mostly clear skies to start, mostly sunny skies really throughout the day today as well. Wind speeds picking up 15 to 20 miles an hour during the early afternoon with high temperatures into the low 50s. Let's take a look now at your dog walking conditions. Sunny skies for the morning and then turning windy, but still pretty sunny though as we head into this afternoon. Mostly clear skies with the wind speeds calming down as we head into this evening. So stay tuned. I'll have a check on your schoolcast plus another look at that full weather forecast as well. I'll time out the details as far as those winds coming up in just a bit. Alexandra?
Thank you, Derek. Let's get to some news this morning now, starting with the Monroe County Sheriff's Department releasing new details this morning on a domestic dispute in Sparta Sunday morning. According to a press release from the department, 75-year-old Daniel Ray called 911 claiming his girlfriend, 74-year-old Judy Herwig, shot him during an argument. Ray was treated for his injuries and both were arrested and booked into the Monroe County Jail for multiple domestic violence related charges. The next day, a judge released Herwig on a $5,000 cash bond, and Ray got out on $500 bond. The judge barred both from contacting each other and consuming or possessing alcohol. To the campaign trail now, with Election Day just under a year away, 5 Republicans seeking the party's presidential nomination debated a range of issues, including U.S. foreign policy, the economy, and abortion. Going head-to-head were Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy. CBS News correspondent Christian Benavides reports on the action from Miami.
5 Republican candidates vying to overtake former President Trump's lead debated each other Wednesday night. They focused on Israel's effort to crush Hamas after the October 7th terror attack.
I would be telling Bibi, finish the job once and for all with these butchers, Hamas.
I would tell him to smoke those terrorists on his southern border.
And Russia's war on Ukraine.
Here is a freedom-loving, pro-American country that is fighting for its survival and its democracy.
They took on the abortion issue after Ohio voters approved an amendment to enshrine the right to abortion in the state's constitution.
We need a 15-week federal limit. 3 out of 4 Americans agree with a 15-week limit.
And they tackled the economy.
This country is in trouble, and the elites that have put us here, they don't care about you. They don't care that you're having to grapple with higher grocery prices or have higher gas prices.
The Republican hopeful slammed President Biden's first term in the White House.
What we don't need is Biden falling all over himself to get back in the Iran deal.
And just a few miles from the debate, former President Donald Trump held a campaign rally, but his name came up several times during the night.
Anybody who's going to be spending the next year and a half of their life focusing on keeping themselves out of jail and courtrooms cannot lead this party or this country.
The Republican nomination process kicks into high gear in January with the Iowa caucuses.
Trump's campaign has suggested the Republican National Committee should stop holding debates and instead focus on supporting the former president's efforts to regain the White House. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was in South Korea early this morning for meetings with his South Korean counterparts. Blinken met with South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol and the country's national security advisor. This morning's meetings discussed North Korea's recent controversial actions in the Korean Peninsula and the country's country's recent military shipments to Russia amid the war in Ukraine. Today's visit came just one day after he was in Japan attending the G7 foreign ministers meeting. Just a short time ago, Secretary of State Antony Blinken took off from Osan Air Base in South Korea for Indo-Pacific talks in New Delhi. November is National Epilepsy Awareness Month, and according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, nearly 3.4 million Americans live with the seizure condition. But health experts warn most Americans don't know that epilepsy may be a sign of someone having a seizure. Mandy Gaither takes a closer look at the signs of seizures and what you should do if you witness someone having one.
It's one of the most common neurological diseases. Epilepsy causes seizures, and the most well-known sign is convulsions.
Where patients become stiff, they shake all over, they can bite their tongue, they can pee on themselves or defecate on themselves.
Neurologist Dipali Namade with Orlando Health says there are also lesser-known subtle signs of which to be aware. A person could be having a seizure if they're staring into space, making a lip-smacking movement, or a gesture like they're picking at their clothes. Unnatural laughter can also be a potential sign, as well as numbness or tingling, blinking rapidly, and crying out or screaming.
The seizure symptoms or the signs depends on which part of the brain your seizures are originating on. So they could vary from person to person.
If someone is experiencing a seizure, Namade says to gently lay the patient on their side in a safe place, away from sharp or heavy objects that could hurt them, and loosen clothing around the neck like a tie or scarf.
Do not put anything inside their mouth, especially spoon or your fingers. Patients are never going to swallow their tongue. It is physically impossible to swallow the tongue.
Since seizures can last seconds or minutes, Namade says to time them and to call 911 if they continue for more than 5 minutes, if the person is hurt or pregnant, or if there's another medical condition happening at the same time, like a heart attack.
The CDC says epilepsy can also be caused by strokes, brain tumor, traumatic brain or head injuries, and infections in the nervous system. Still ahead on your morning news, 2 congressmen are warning that U.S. medical supply chains are too reliant on Chinese manufacturing. We'll tell you what they want to do about it in a few minutes. And according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, newborn syphilis rates have risen to a dire level. We'll take a look at the growing crisis and tell you what's being done about it coming up later this morning. For now, we're sending you to break with something to put the good or the yum in your morning. Feast your eyes on this. Today is National Chicken Sandwich Day. Believe it or not, this savory snack only dates back to the 1960s. That's when Chick-fil-A started serving it as an alternative to hamburgers. The chicken sandwich really blew up in 2019 when Popeyes debuted its version. That sparked what some dubbed the Chicken Sandwich Wars between early 2019 and late 2020. Chicken sandwich consumption quadrupled, according to Edison Trends. Now it seems like pretty much every restaurant chain has a chicken sandwich on its menu. In celebration of National Chicken Sandwich Day, a number of restaurants have special deals and offers nationwide. That includes Burger King, Popeyes, and Wingstop. Don't go anywhere. Your consumer news at News 8 Now this morning is after the break.
Our skies are looking nice and clear this morning, which is expected to remain this way throughout much of the day, but it will be turning a bit breezy, though. We'll talk about that later. Our current temperatures are a little on the cold side into the 30s, 34 in Eau Claire. Currently in La Crosse, we're sitting at 36. Sparta is at 33, Black River Falls at 34, and Viroqua right at that freezing mark of 32 degrees. Our high temperatures this afternoon will be similar to yesterday a little bit, highs into the 50s for the most part in La Crosse County, 51 today. If you're in Maduro, heading south into Soldiers Grove at 53 today, New Albin at 53, and Stoddard looking a high of 51 today. Westby will be a little cooler with a high of about 49 degrees. Same in Blair here today. Arcadia at 50, Whitehall's at 49, and 48 today if you're in Osseo. Lots of sun here across the Chippewa Valley here as well, but a bit breezy and cool. Highs into the mid-40s in Eau Claire. Let's get a check now on that schoolcast heading out the door. 36 degrees with clear skies. We will warm up into the 50s here at 51 degrees with a few passing afternoon clouds around dismissal time with windy conditions. And speaking of that, we'll talk more about the winds in more detail in the full weather forecast still to come in a few minutes.
In your consumer news this morning, we're putting a spotlight on the world of medicine to help you stay informed about the news that matters for your family's health. 2 GOP congressmen are sounding the alarm about the VA's use of Chinese medical supplies. Representatives Mike Gallagher and Mike Bost are calling on the Department of Veterans Affairs to slash their use of Chinese-made medical supplies like masks and gloves. The VA sources many of those items from China. When the pandemic hit, China drastically reduced the number of medical supplies it exported. That led to a shortage of supplies here in the U.S. Gallagher and Bost say they've asked the VA to address that vulnerability. A spokesman for the agency says it's working to find U.S.-based sources for those supplies. In addition to medical supplies, the U.S. healthcare system is facing a shortage of some antibiotics. With strep throat on the rise, that's an issue. Strep cases increased in August, especially among children. Doctors rely on the antibiotic amoxicillin to treat the infection. According to the FDA, the powder form of the drug has been in short supply since last fall. That matters because some children can't take pills and rely on the powder. Left untreated, kids with strep can continue to infect others for weeks. While shortages occasionally keep patients from getting the drugs they need, affordability is also a common issue. The first drug for postpartum depression is a good example. Zorzave got FDA approval back in August. It's designed to help women who experience severe depression after giving birth. But the drug costs a whopping $16,000 for a 2-week dose. It isn't clear if insurance will cover that cost. Roughly 1 in 8 women who give birth experience PTSD. Postpartum depression. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say the number of babies born with syphilis has gone up by 1,000% in the last decade. Now, health officials are responding to the crisis by raising awareness about the infection and how it can be prevented. Mandy Gaither has the story for us.
A dire rise in congenital syphilis. The U.S. saw a 30-year high in the number of reported cases in babies in 2022, according to new numbers from the CDC.
Congenital syphilis is caused when a mother suffering from syphilis passes the infection on to her growing baby.
More than 3,700 babies were born with syphilis in the U.S. in 2022. That's a 32% increase from the year before and a tenfold rise since 2012. This infection can cause miscarriage, stillbirth, premature birth, low birth weight, even death shortly after birth. But congenital syphilis can be prevented, says Dr. Asma Chadha with Mayo Clinic.
Knowing a woman has syphilis is the first step towards treatment. It is an easily treated infection, but universal screening is essential.
Chadha says a simple blood test can screen for syphilis. It should be done early at the first prenatal doctor's visit, and some women should be tested twice.
In high-risk populations, we should probably be rescreening pregnant women again in the 3rd trimester to make sure that the infection didn't occur later in pregnancy.
Some public health leaders believe budget cuts to state health departments and a shortage of the only drug approved to treat syphilis in pregnancy are undercutting the effort to curb the rising cases.
It's very important that regardless of their ability to be able to afford prenatal care or not, all women and their children, particularly the ones who are pregnant, are receiving universal access.
Babies born with congenital syphilis are also susceptible to other illnesses, including enlarged organs, anemia, and nerve issues. Worldwide, around 50 million people suffer from syphilis. The time now is 6:17, and let's check in with Derek for a look at today's forecast.
All right, thanks for that, Alexandra. Check out this gorgeous sunrise that we're seeing from City Cam 8 and downtown La Crosse. We got the clear skies, but it is a little bit cold out there. Current temperatures are in the 30s. In fact, in La Crosse, we're currently sitting at 36 degrees. Southeast winds light at 7, just enough to make our feel-like temperatures or wind chill factor at 30 degrees. Now, if we take a look at Eau Claire, we're currently at 34 degrees, so a little cooler here. Wind chill factor is much cooler at 26 degrees. That is from the west-southwest winds, currently sustained at 10 miles an hour. Clear skies skies really all across the Coulee region at this hour, which will continue through much of the day. Here's a look at the temperatures. Right now, very cold into the 30s in many spots. 33 in Sparta, 34 Black River Falls, and Viroqua, you're currently at 32. Now, we're going to be also watching the wind speeds beginning to increase today, probably around noon today under a few passing clouds, mostly sunny. Winds beginning to die down as we head into late afternoon and also into early evening hours, while staying mainly clear and sunny throughout the day. So let's take a look at the wind tracker, and you can see sustained winds at around 10 to 15 miles an hour coming directly from the westerly direction today, and then increasing to 15 to 20 miles an hour by the early afternoon around 1 o'clock or so. Occasional gusts up to 30 miles an hour certainly possible as well before the wind speeds begin to subside as we head into early on this evening. Now, Sky Tracker also showing that those breezes picking up, but look at the skies though, looking mostly clear. Temperatures upper 30s, low 40s by late morning, increasing to the upper 40s to low 50s for the temperatures by the afternoon. Still looking breezy, mostly sunny there. The clouds start to increase up towards the north though as we head into 9 o'clock this evening. A slight chance of a snow shower or two is possible. Otherwise, expect mainly clear skies up until we reach overnight tonight, because that's when the cloudy skies will begin to increase. Temperatures still into the 30s there, and then by tomorrow morning around 9 o'clock, we still expect a mainly cloudy start, with cloudy skies still lingering throughout much of the day tomorrow around 6 o'clock. Slight chance of a shower or two during tomorrow evening. A check on your 8-day forecast now showing highs will be dropping into the 40s tomorrow, and also again on Saturday under mainly cloudy skies. A mix of clouds and sun, partly cloudy for the most part heading into Sunday and also into much of next week, with highs warming back up into those mid to upper 50s, especially by late next week. Low temperatures into the 30s and 40s. All right, stay with us. We're back with much more news and weather still to come on News 8 Now this morning. For now, we're sending in a break with a look what happened on this day in history for November 9th. We'll be right back.
To the Blitz. Arcadia's Cassidy Peeler has really done it all during her time as a Raider. Volleyball, basketball, softball, cross country, you name it. But now the track and field standout, making it official earlier yesterday as to where she'll pursue her academic and athletic career at the next level. The Wanek Center bleachers full of family, friends, classmates, and coaches yesterday as Peeler officially puts pen to paper. The senior will be heading to Division I program North Dakota State University to pursue pole vaulting. And the Bison are getting one of the best. Peeler's the reigning Division II state champion pole vaulter. She won that title back in early June. Now that this step is official, Peeler says she's ready to focus on her final year at Arcadia, but the senior's also looking forward to the future.
From meeting the coaching staff and the team, the culture, I could just tell that it was really an environment that I see myself succeeding at, and they have all the facilities and everything I need to really be successful. And I love the Fargo area, so it was really perfect for me. It seems like the right decision.
Sparta standout Evelyn Tripp won't be going too far. The senior signing her letter of intent yesterday to pursue basketball right here in La Crosse at UWL. Tripp will look to sharpen her skills as a senior for the Spartans this year. As a junior, she led her squad in both points per game as well as steals. Looking forward to covering Tripp at the next level. College hoops are finally back here in La Crosse. The Viterbo basketball team is off to a solid start. The V-Hawks have won 2 straight games. They were looking for their 3rd win in a row last night on their home court. V-Hawks 3-1 so far this season. They were hosting Edgewood last night, pick it up first half. Eagles playing tough. Hunter Hardiman driving baseline, finishing off the window for 2. Edgewood goes up by 4. But here comes the home team, other end, Stefan Popovich going to work, gets the friendly roll. We're all tied at 19. Then it's the Onalaska grad, Dakota Mantle. Look at this find from the junior, right on the money to Ben Olsen for the deuce. 5-point lead for the V-Hawks, and they keep pouring it on. That's the freshman Jack Voigt ahead of the pack, makes it 29-22 Viterbo. Still in the first half, again, it's Mantle, this time finding Keegan Severn in the post. Big man making big man moves. V-Hawks up 11 at the break. Then in the second half, more of the same. The Central grad, Colin Adams, on a mission to the cup. Strong drive, pretty finish off the glass. Sophomore chipping in with 5 points on the night. V-Hawks win their 3rd straight, 68-52. Bucks back at home last night taking on the Pistons. Pick it up in the third. Milwaukee up 11. Giannis going coast to coast for the slam, but he picks up his second tech of the night. Giannis with a little stare after that dunk. His night is over. Bucks in a tight one down the stretch. Damian Lillard puts Milwaukee back on top with just over a minute to go. And then this right here is the play of the night. Next time down the floor, big time Brook coming up clutch. He knocks down the three. Fiserv Forum is in an absolute frenzy. Bucks go up by 4. Pistons cut it back to 2, so last chance now for Detroit. This half-court heave comes up just a bit short. No Giannis, no Middleton, no problem for the Bucks last night as they win another thriller, 120-118. Wolves looking for their 4th straight win. They were home hosting the Pelicans. This one all Minnesota. Anthony Edwards picking up where he left off Monday. T-Wolves up 28 at the break, and the home team putting on a dunk contest for the home crowd. Jaden McDaniels rocks the rim. Then it's Edwards off the backboard throwing it down. T-Wolves in control. Then in the 4th, Karl Anthony Towns joins the party. Alley-oop to Cat for the stuff. 29-point lead for Minnesota. And then off the steal, who else but Edwards again? A highlight reel from the opening tip. All T-Wolves at home. They get their 4th straight win, 122-101. That's going to do it for the Blitz. We'll see you tonight.
You're watching News 8 Now. Expect more.
Yesterday was day 3 of the trial for a woman charged in the 2019 death of her husband. 53-year-old Lori Phillips is facing 1 charge of second-degree reckless homicide for the fatal hit-and-run of 48-year-old Mark Phillips. For roughly 2 hours, jurors watched Phillips explain to investigators what happened on the night of February 22, 2019. During the interview, Phillips says her worst fear is Mark chased after her and slipped and fell. News 8 Now's Dua Israr has those details for us.
53-year-old Lori Phillips sat in court and watched as prosecutors replayed the interview she gave the morning after 48-year-old Mark Phillips's body was discovered. On February 23, 2019, Phillips called 911 to say Mark was in a snowbank near their home in Holmen. Both her and Mark had been drinking at a dive bar the night before.
We argued all the way home. When we got home, I told him I was leaving.
Phillips told investigator Fritz Leinfelder Mark never got physically abusive before that night. Phillips says she got into her truck to leave for the night, but Mark tried to stop her.
When he got to my door, I took off. His door was still open, meaning the passenger door that he was getting his stuff out. I turned right out of the driveway and it closed.
Phillips says she returned to their home at 2 a.m. and slept on the couch. She says she found Mark's body in the snowbank the next morning.
He wasn't in the room. I went outside to see his car was in the garage, thinking he went out with friends last night. That's when I saw him laying in the snowbank. I went inside and called the police.
In court, a state crime lab supervisor testified blue jean fibers were found under Phillips's truck that were similar to the jeans Mark was wearing.
The blue cotton fiber that I examined, the questioned fiber, was consistent with the blue jean fiber.
The defense argued the truck was not examined at Phillips's home near Holmen, and evidence could have been contaminated on the road.
Wisconsin roads, particularly in La Crosse, are not particularly well known for being smooth, easy to drive on roads, right?
That's correct.
Phillips, in her interview, says she never saw Mark come after her.
My worst fear is that he chased me down the driveway and slipped and fell, and then I just left him there and I didn't even know he was there, because otherwise I would have just come back and then I pull in the driveway.
Earlier, a forensic pathologist testified Mark had rib fractures on one side of the chest and excessive blunt force trauma. Mark also lost up to 1 liter of blood, they say. If convicted, Lori faces up to 25 years in prison. The EPA is urging state agencies to address contaminated drinking water in southeast Minnesota. They're responding to 11 advocacy groups who asked them this spring to take emergency action for the 8-county karst region, which includes Fillmore, Houston, and Winona counties. The area's geography means private wells are most at risk of nitrate contamination from fertilizer and manure runoff. Nitrate pollution is linked to some cancers, blue baby syndrome, and birth defects. defects. A litigator with one of the groups who contacted the EPA says the state needs to be able to determine how much contamination there is.
We don't know which ones are contaminated. A lot of the testing programs are voluntary. When there's this imminent and substantial endangerment to human health that we have in this region of the state, facilities that are adjacent to or very close to contaminated wells do need to be required to do more.
Curry says the intent is not to point the finger at farmers because she says many of them are part of programs practicing low pollution methods. But the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency says current regulations and those voluntary programs just aren't doing enough to slow pollution. The EPA is asking Minnesota agencies to come up with an action plan by next month. It says Minnesota should identify private wells in the area, offer nitrate pollution awareness, make water testing available, and offer alternate water sources for anyone with nitrate levels over the federal level. Republican Congressman Brad Finstad represents this region and criticized the EPA for conducting unannounced inspections at 3 area facilities last week. He says it's unacceptable the EPA targets Minnesota family farmers at the command of environmental extremists, but the Clean Water Act allows the EPA to make unannounced visits. Aaron Bishop with the nonprofit Responsible Ag in Karst Country says Finstad is trying to pit farmers against residents who are concerned about their drinking water. Bishop says the desire for clean water should unite all residents. Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin aims to get more veterans the benefits they've earned. Her commitment to Veteran Support and Outreach Act would grow the number of county veterans service officers. These local employees connect directly with vets to inform them of VA program eligibility and benefits. Baldwin says more service officers will ensure more veterans can access the care and support they deserve.
A lot of folks don't know that if they have a service-connected disability that they can file a claim. Some don't know whether they can access healthcare services through the VA.
Service officers can also help vets file pension and compensation claims, as well as help them enroll in other benefits. Baldwin says she's hopeful the act will pass by Veterans Day next week. A Republican tax proposal would allow Wisconsinites to claim fetuses as dependents. The Wisconsin Senate approved legislation that expands child tax breaks to include fetuses. The bill allows someone to claim fetus as a dependent once a fetal heartbeat is detected. Now, the exemption would not apply to pregnancies that end in abortion. Democrats are slamming the bill and are accusing Republicans of pushing an anti-choice agenda. 2023 has been a record-breaking year for anti-transgender legislation. In an effort to start a dialogue about the topic, La Crosse's League of Women Voters made it the subject of their November Lunch and Learn event. The group hosted a panel of local speakers to discuss current issues and legislation impacting transgender people. One focus of the panel was gender-affirming care for minors.
It's something as simple as using the patient's preferred name and pronouns, helping them stay comfortable in clinic by talking about gender and just talking about mental health and how important that is.
The Wisconsin legislature recently passed a bill that would ban certain gender-affirming health care for minors. Governor Tony Evers has promised to veto that legislation. UWL held night 1 of its annual New Music Festival last night. The event features a diverse collection of music, including the musical stylings of world-renowned composer Arturo Rodriguez. The concert will end on Friday with UWL's Wind Ensemble performing Rodriguez's Mosaico Mexicano, as well as works from different composers. Professor Jonathan Borgia says this festival is important because it shines light on today's musicians.
Because it is a way of showing that music is a living art form, that is not just, dead white composers from Europe that we're playing. We're playing composers who are living, composers who are coming from all parts of the world.
All events are free to the public and will take place in UWL's Annette Recital Hall. Now here's Derek to tell us what to expect for our morning commute.
All right, thanks for that, Alexandra. We're looking at clear skies here now this morning. Temperatures are a little cool out there, currently sitting into the 30s, 34 degrees in Eau Claire, 36 degrees currently in La Crosse, and Winona, you're at 37. Sparta, Black River Falls down to Viroqua, all around that near that freezing mark here this morning. So bring that light jacket. I think you'll need it, especially today. I mean, it will be warming up to 52, but keep in mind the winds will be around 15 to 20 miles an hour. So that will make our temperatures feel like they're into the 40s today with those wind gusts at times as well. But at least we do have mostly sunny skies really for us to work with through the day today. Tonight, our temperatures drop to 33 degrees, partly cloudy skies. It will be a little bit cool with those temperatures, but at least the wind speed's calming down at 5 to 10 miles an hour. So no significant wind chill worries there. But stay tuned. I'll have a final check on your full weather forecast coming up in a few minutes. I'll time out more of those details as far as our winds go here coming up later. Also coming up in our buzz reports, there may be something strange happening in the neighborhood because Columbia Pictures has announced a new Ghostbusters movie. We'll have your first look at the new movie after the break. Gorgeous sunrise here this morning from City Cam 8 in downtown La Crosse. You can see that nice picture, perfect sky there with temperatures into the 30s. 36 right now currently in La Crosse. Southeast winds at around 7 miles an hour, just enough to make our wind chill factors make our temperatures feel at 30 degrees. Meanwhile, if you're in Eau Claire, a little cooler here. Temperatures are at 34, wind chill factors at 26 thanks to that west-southwest wind currently sustained at 10 miles an hour. Clear skies really all across the Coulee region now. A couple of light clouds here move through portions of the Chippewa Valley, but other than that, that's about it. Current temperature readings are again into the 30s, but we're seeing some spots like Sparta currently reporting 27 degrees. So we have fallen below freezing there. 32 right at the freezing mark currently in Viroqua. We're at 36 though if you're in Boscobel. Now it's not just the temperatures here this morning. They will warm up, but our breezes are going to start to pick up as well under a mainly sunny day here as far as you can see on the day planner. 49 degrees, mostly sunny by 4 o'clock, turning mostly clear as we head into early this evening. So let's talk more about these wind speeds, and you can see that we will be increasing the winds from the west today at around 10 to 15 miles an hour. But as we head into the early afternoon, those wind breezes will pick up between 15 to 20 miles an hour. An occasional gust up to 30 miles an hour certainly possible here today as well before the wind speeds begin to subside as we head into early on this evening. Now, SkyTracker will also show you those wind speeds picking up there, coming up from the west. You can see our temperatures remain into the upper 30s, low 40s through at least 9 o'clock, and at least the skies will be looking mostly sunny, despite the breezes here being a little bit of a significant factor throughout the day. But as we head into tonight, the clouds will start to increase a little bit to the north, a little bit of a light snow shower possible up towards northern sections of the Chippewa Valley. I don't think they're going to hold together, though, as they move their way down to the south. They should dissipate if it does develop with some cloudy leftover conditions as we head into tonight, spreading all across the Coulee region here overnight, and then that will last into tomorrow morning, followed by cloudy skies that will continue to linger as we head into tomorrow afternoon with a slight chance of a shower or two. Some of these temperatures may be just favorable enough for some of that shower potential to kind of mix with some wintry precipitation, but I think for the most part things are looking pretty dry. Rainfall chances looking very low there. 8-day forecast showing highs dropping into the 40s tomorrow and Saturday, so a little cooler here over the next couple of days under mainly cloudy skies, but a mix of clouds and sunshine is in the forecast starting Sunday and also into next week. And you can see our high temperatures also warming up into the mid to upper 50s. Our low temperatures mainly into the 30s and 40s.
In our morning buzz report, we're taking a look at all things happy in Hollywood because, let's be honest, good news can be hard to come by. On that note, celebrations are breaking out in Tinseltown. That's because the Actors Union has finally struck a tentative deal with major studios. It's an end to the strike that shut down the entertainment industry starting in May when writers announced their intent to strike. Actors joined their colleagues in the strike in July. Both groups wanted better compensation and protections from AI. The writers' strike ended separately in September. If the deal between the Screen Actors Guild and studios is finalized, 160,000 actors will head back to work, and your favorite show may be back sooner than you expect.
For the first time in New York history, people froze to death in the middle of July.
What is it?
The death chill.
Who are you going to call? The Ghostbusters are headed back to theaters. Developed by Columbia Pictures, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire stars Paul Rudd, Carrie Coon, and Finn Wolfhard. It's a follow-up to 2021's Ghostbusters Afterlife. The studio lost $70 million on its all-female 2016 reboot of the franchise. That makes the new movie a bit of a gamble, with Columbia Pictures hoping that audiences really ain't afraid of no ghost. Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire is due out in March of 2024.
What was that?
Oh Lord, it's the Queen Bee.
Regina George.
Don't look her in the eye.
You could be really hot if you change like everything.
Speaking of old school cool, that was a look at the new Mean Girls movie. The new film is based on the Broadway musical of the same name. It's already receiving some criticism. That's because it doesn't have any singing, which some fans of the Broadway version say is definitely not so fetch. In fact, the trailer only features music from Olivia Rodrigo's Get Him Back. Mean Girls releases in theaters January 12th. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle helped the Navy SEAL Foundation open a brand new facility. The center has advanced technology and equipment. Its mission is to help Navy SEAL veterans heal from injuries and trauma. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex cut the ribbon for the center, then spent time with veterans and active service members. Harry, who deployed to Afghanistan twice as a British Army officer, is known for his efforts to support veterans around the world. Well, in the Mean Girls story, we called that old school cool. So I guess that means we're old, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that first Mean Girls movie came out, what, 2004? Or
right.
Like
when
that?
You think about how long that actually was, it's crazy to think about.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah, it's been years now.
Almost 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. But looking forward to that one. It's a little bit of a different vibe, but it'll be interesting to check out.
Some different casts as well. So
yeah,
give it a chance. You might like it. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm interested to see reading the reviews as well when that comes out.
Yeah, since it's already receiving a little bit of criticism for no singing.
Mm-hmm.
And before we head to break, it's time to look at today's Look Who's 8, but unfortunately, we can't.
Yeah, just no birthdays, unfortunately, today. But if you are celebrating a birthday, happy birthday. Hopefully we can get some more submissions here.
Yeah, happy birthday to anyone out there who is celebrating. And if you do know somebody who's turning 8 weeks, 8 months, 8 years, 18, 80, or 88 years old soon, we'd love to feature them.
That's right. Just upload their photo to our website, news8000.com, and look for the Submit Pictures button underneath the Home tab on our website.
Stay with us. We have everything you need to know today in 5 minutes or less. Your Morning News Now is up next. Welcome back. Time now for Morning News Now. The Monroe County Sheriff's Department is releasing new details this morning on a domestic dispute in Sparta Sunday morning. According to a press release from the department, 75-year-old Daniel Ray called 911 claiming his girlfriend, 74-year-old Judy Herwig, shot him during an argument. Ray was treated for his injuries and both were arrested and booked into the Monroe County Jail for multiple domestic violence-related charges. The next day, a judge released Herwig on a $5,000 cash bond, and Ray got out on a $500 bond. The judge barred both from contacting each other and consuming or possessing alcohol. The EPA is urging state agencies to address contaminated drinking water in southeast Minnesota. They're responding to 11 advocacy groups who asked them this spring to take emergency action for the 8-county karst region, which includes Fillmore, Houston, and Winona counties. The area's geography means private wells are most at risk of nitrate contamination from fertilizer and manure runoff. Nitrate pollution is linked to some cancers, blue baby syndrome, and birth defects. A litigator with one of the groups who contacted the EPA says the state needs to be able to determine how much contamination there is.
We don't know which ones are contaminated. A lot of the testing programs are voluntary. When there's this imminent and substantial endangerment to human health that we have in this region of the state, facilities that are adjacent to or very close to contaminated wells do need to be required to do more.
Curry says the intent is not to point the finger at farmers because she says many of them are part of programs practicing low pollution methods. But the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency says current regulations and those voluntary programs just aren't enough to slow pollution. The EPA is asking Minnesota agencies to come up with an action plan by next month. It says Minnesota should identify private wells in the area, offer nitrate pollution awareness, make water testing available, and offer alternative water sources for anyone with nitrate levels over the federal level. Republican Congressman Brad Finstad represents this region and criticized the EPA for conducting unannounced inspections at 3 area facilities last week. He says it's unacceptable the EPA targets Minnesota family farmers at the command of what he calls environmental extremists. But the Clean Water Act allows the EPA to make unannounced visits. Aaron Bishop with the nonprofit Responsible Ag in Karst Country says Finstad is trying to pit farmers against residents who are concerned about their drinking water. Bishop says the desire for clean water should unite all residents. A Republican tax proposal would allow Wisconsinites to claim fetuses as dependents. The Wisconsin Senate approved legislation that expands child tax breaks to include fetuses. The bill allows someone to claim a fetus as a dependent once a fetal heartbeat is detected. That exemption would not apply to pregnancies that end in abortion. Democrats are slamming the bill and accusing Republicans of pushing an anti-choice agenda. UWL held night 1 of its annual New Music Festival last night. That event features a diverse collection of music, including the musical stylings of world-renowned composer Arturo Rodriguez. The concert will end on Friday with UWL's Wind Ensemble performing Rodriguez's Mosaico Mexicano, as well as works from different composers. Professor Jonathan Borja says this festival is important because it shines light on today's present musicians.
Because it is a way of showing that music is a living art form, that is not just, dead white composers from Europe that we're playing. We're playing composers who are living, composers who are coming from all parts of the world.
All events are free to the public. They're held in UWL's Annette Recital Hall.
And as we take a look now at your planner, we are looking at sunny skies this morning with temperatures in the 30s and low 40s. Highs today warming up into the low 50s by the early afternoon, but at the same time, that's when it will be windy out with wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour to staying between 15 to 20 miles an hour. Here's a check on that 8-day forecast. Skies turning mostly cloudy tomorrow and Saturday and cooler with highs into the low to mid 40s. Highs warming up into the mid to upper 50s Sunday and through much of next week under a mix of clouds and sun. So we have to get through a couple of days of seeing some cooler temperatures before that warm up arrives here again.
Yes, at least the sun will be out though. We can see it coming up a little bit already this morning.
Exactly.
So.
It looks gorgeous out there.
Yeah,
right
it
now
does.
from that camera. So yeah, enjoy today. Hold on to your hats out there if you're wearing them because it will be windy.
All right. Thank you, Tarek. And thanks so much for watching News 8 Now this morning. We will see you back here at noon. Have a great day.